We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, we are going to be diving into the case against Binance. As you guys have been talking about, the Securities and Exchange Commission is coming after Binance for having an unlisted security in their ICO launched in 2017. Was the Binance coin listing a security, and is Binance Smart Chain right now still an operating security? Well, we're going to look at the defense that CEO Changpeng Zhao has put up. We're going to look at the allegations as presented by the Securities and Exchange Commission. We're going to look at something called the Howey test, established in a Supreme Court case in 1934 to determine whether or not a different offering is in fact a security. And we're going to be coming to the conclusion, is Binance the next XRP? For anyone who is listening, who holds Binance, you need to watch this video. This is very, very important for the future of the price of your cryptocurrency, because if you hold Binance, this could have major ramifications on not just Binance the coin, but also Binance the exchange. Could this be the beginning and the opening of Pandora's box for the SEC to start coming after a plethora of different cryptocurrencies? Because while researching for this video, we just found more and more evidence that a lot of altcoins are in fact securities, or potentially there's an argument to be made that they are securities under current legal definitions. We're going to talk about all of that and more in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. We come at you 10 a.m. Eastern every single weekday, Monday through Friday. So make sure to hit that like button. Let's see if we can get up to 250 likes here at the beginning. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel for daily cryptocurrency content. I am joined, as sometimes, by the one and only, the great, the Army guy, T-Shroom. How you doing, T-Shroom?
Better than I deserve, Jebb.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
What's going on in your life? You haven't been on stream in a little bit.
I have just been doing some very in-depth crypto research, believe it or not.
Yeah.
That's what I've been up to.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it? Well, Smay, we're also joined by you. Would you like to share your 2 cents?
Guys, Tim is not here. He's at Consensus. So if you're going to Consensus as well, go say hello. Go check him out. Go find him. Find him. But other than that, I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. The Celtics play tonight. Hopefully they win, and that's good. So back to you, Jebb.
See, you talk like Dave Ramsey, and you even kind of look like him, T-Shroom. I think in like 300 years, you'll look like Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, we do my Dave Ramsey impression.
Better than I deserve. You got a 30-year mortgage. You need to rethink that, son. Sharon, you better not.
You're not buying a boat, Sharon. You're in debt.
You're not buying a boat.
I need you to hear yourself say you're in debt.
You're in debt.
On air right now.
Go to your church and take the Generational Wealth Academy or whatever it's called. I forgot. I'm sorry. I actually really like Dave Ramsey. So if anybody from Dave Ramsey's team is watching, I actually really like Dave Ramsey. So I'd love to collaborate with him at some point.
Now he's offended. He's probably crying in his
No, he's probably
right
laughing because he knows full well that he has a very memeable appearance and persona. And it's a very funny one. Not laughing at you, laughing with you. Anywho, we're going to go ahead and jump into some different discussion over here on CoinMarketCap. Let's take a look at that. Guys, before we do that, though, I do want to bring a word from one of our sponsors. They are none other than iTrust Capital. If you are not familiar with iTrust Capital, they are the #1 provider for retirement account services in the cryptocurrency industry. If you want to sign up for an iTrust Capital link, then you can make sure to use our link down below to get a $100 funding reward today. And if you do sign up with them, make sure to get an IRA set up with them, because you can make sure that you are investing within the proper tax haven. If you are investing within an IRA or a Roth IRA or different kinds of tax vehicles that they have, you're going to be saving yourself big time on taxes. So make sure you check them out. iTrust Capital, links in the description box down below. Myself and Tim both have accounts, and we are very pleased with the service. Smay, we got some names to read here, buddy.
Yeah, we do. And I would love to read those names. Starting with Tom Wilkes, Mitch Shaw, Elliot Locke, Thomas Poe, Sultan of Salt, Adam Work, Agent Gold, JoJo, Crypto Sec Guy, Grand Roofing Incorporated, Cryptosaurus Rex, Mitch Shaw, and Eye of the Beholder, So many of you guys, I love all of you guys. JoJo, Mike Markle, all of you guys. Go Celtics, and I love you guys.
Go Celtics. How are the Celtics doing? I know they had a
they're
loss.
in the NBA Finals. It's tied 1-1.
Oh, so they lost the first game. How many games?
Oh, they lost. So they lost the second game. So they won the first game.
Okay.
Lost second game. So the series is tied 1-1.
How many games are there in the series?
It's a 7-game series.
7-game series. Okay.
So it's best of 4.
Okay. Who are they playing
best
against?
of 7. You have to win 4.
Who are they playing against?
Golden State Warriors.
Never heard of them before. No, I'm joking. Anyway, guys, we're gonna go ahead and move into our our market pulse here. We're gonna actually run through a couple of different altcoins here, so we might go a little bit over on our market pulse. But that's okay. We're going to talk about Chainlink, ADA, and a little bit of Bitcoin, and then we're going to jump on into Binance here during our technical analysis segment, and then we will be discussing, is Binance the next XRP, and has a wave of securities regulation started in the cryptocurrency space? Definitely some FUD going on in crypto, but it's not our mission to bring FUD to you. We would actually like to bring you the facts without bringing the fear. That is the way that we want to do this. Let's go ahead and look at CoinMarketCap. Right now, Bitcoin trading just over $30,000, sitting at $30,709, up 4% on the day. We can see Ethereum is up 3% on the day as well, trading at $1,800. Binance actually up on all of this news. As you guys know, the news of the SEC looking into Binance is not today's news. This is developing. This has started a few days ago, but Binance is still up regardless today. Cardano sitting at rank number 6 at roughly 10% to the upside. If Binance did come under massive scrutiny from the Securities and Exchange Commission, could that cause a massive hit from FUD to its price? And could that allow for Cardano, as it's rallying, along with all of the updates coming with Vasil, for Cardano to actually flip Binance? That's a question for you, and that we'll be talking about a little bit later on in the show. XRP, another cryptocurrency that is heavily under SEC scrutiny and has been for a couple of years now, up 2.5%. This just goes to show you that even under scrutiny from the SEC, a cryptocurrency can still be in the top 10. So I don't want to come on this stream and say, hey, Binance is going to die. Binance Smart Chain is going to collapse, and everybody who owns it should get out now. That's not the point we're trying to make here. The point we're trying to make here is that anybody who is holding Binance, you need to understand the shots that are about to be fired in your direction by the SEC, because you want to be able to make sure to take cover and make sure that you are safe in that. Binance USD sitting at number 8. That's an entirely different discussion for a different day, but this is also probably going to end up being part of this case. Them having a stable coin is definitely going to end up being a part of that. Solana up 3%. Definitely don't think that it should be. I think Solana should drop out of the top 10. I have come out pretty hard against Solana, and a lot of it has to do with the statements of the founders themselves, which, and I'll paraphrase, build it with toothpicks and bubblegum so that you can launch it so you can make some money. That's almost verbatim what they said, as far as paraphrasing, not verbatim. That is a paraphrase of what they said. If you don't understand that, go on my Twitter. You can go back here, and Charles Hoskinson retweeted one of the co-founders basically saying that. Go listen to this video by one of the co-founders, this guy right here, and see if you don't hear what I just said. This is something that I'm not a fan of, so I do think that Solana should drop out of the top 10. Anywho, we also have a couple of other cryptos doing well. Tron's trading sideways, Avalanche up, Sheeb up, DAI trading sideways, of course. Chainlink is actually the biggest gainer today, and we're going to kick off our market pulse and analysis by looking at it a little bit. Chainlink up 12% today. Let's go ahead and look at Link over here on the US dollars. You guys know that I think Link is a very, very, very important cryptocurrency, and the name kind of summarizes it perfectly. Chainlink is an oracle. What that means is that it links outside data on chain. So that's why it's called Chainlink. It links the chain to the outside world. And the reason that it's so valuable is because if you want to pull pricing data or weather data or sports data or any kind of data that is off-chain, on-chain, then you have to do it through something called an Oracle application, which pulls that data in a secure way on-chain. Chainlink does that. We made a video a little over a week ago that T-Shroom actually wrote, so make sure to give him thanks for that, on Chainlink. And if you go back and watch that video, then you will understand why I am such a fan of the project. As far as the price is concerned, it bottomed out down here at 528. And that bottom right there is actually pretty significant because it represents the local highs, or actually at the time, I believe they were all-time highs that were set on Chainlink around 525 in June of 19 and also here in March of 2020. That double top got broken. Now we're back testing it. This, to me, looks like the back test that I expect Bitcoin to go through when we see Bitcoin dropping all the way down to $20,000 later on. It just seems like Chainlink got there first. So this does not mean that this is a bad thing for Chainlink. I would actually say that this is potentially a very good thing for Chainlink, that Chainlink has bottomed out down here. Now, the issue that Chainlink is running into is that it follows the rest of the cryptocurrency space. So it's undergoing a rally right now, yes, and that's wonderful, and I do think it deserves it. The problem is, if Bitcoin keeps trading sideways, it's probably going to be constricted within a range and not be able to move too much, because people are not investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, let alone the layer 2 decentralized applications. It's going to be difficult for it to pick up steam, but it is looking rather healthy as far as things go. Now, we can also take a look here at Cardano, because there's quite a lot of interesting things going on Cardano. If you guys didn't watch the video yesterday, I predicted in yesterday's video that we would be breaking bullish out of this bull flag right here. So far, we have begun that. In fact, I drew this uptrending line right here that Cardano could follow yesterday. So far, we are matching it to a T. I do think that you're going to see Cardano rally up to 80 cents or more within the next month. And then after Basel, there will probably be a rather large dump, potentially as low as 40 cents or even 35. But I do think you're going to see rallies pushing up above 70 and above 80 over the next little while. It is looking pretty healthy right now. The only thing I will say here on ADA that you need to watch out for, there's obviously more things you need to watch out for, but this is one of the big ones, is that it is currently in an ascending wedge. Ascending wedges typically break down, so there is a possibility that we could break down to maybe the low 60s and then bounce and continue rallying from there. For anyone in Cardano, I think you are in a pretty good place right now. Long run, I think you're in a wonderful, phenomenal place. I think you're going to make a lot of money, but even in the short run, I think that you are going to do pretty well for yourself. But let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin a little bit. T-Shroom, would you like to give us a little bit of a rundown on what's going on Bitcoin? You know, they've heard my opinion on Bitcoin every single day for the last 5 years, but they haven't heard from you recently. What is your take on what's going on the Bitcoin price and chart right now?
Sure, yeah. If you want to jump over to my screen, I've got a little bit of something prepared in anticipation of that very question. So yeah, we've got on the 4 hour here, we've got a little bit of a bullish pennant forming. And you know what I think is going to happen though, I think what could happen is that we will break out to the upside on this, but it'll kind of fall flat and come back down. Now, if it confirms there back on and it flips that resistance to support and goes higher, you know, then we could see, you know, potentially a pump higher, but more than likely, I think it's going to break out of that resistance, like I said, but I think it's going to come back down and just go back and test, and we'll stay in this trend here. Why do I think that? Because I think, and you can come off my screen, I think that the fundamentals ultimately are kind of driving Bitcoin right now, and it's just going to remain in this tight channel until possibly the 9th when we get the ECB decision, but more than likely the 15th when we get that Fed decision. And hey, here's a show that T-Shroom's on, and we're not talking about the Fed, so we're going to keep it that way.
Wow, that's impressive. We definitely need to drop a 1 in chat if you want a T-Shroom show talking about the Fed and whatnot. I think that'd be pretty cool. What if T-Shroom has his own channel? That would be pretty awesome. But guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into Binance right now. I've got a little bit of a cold, so apologies for anybody if you hear me sniffling. I've been sick a lot. I haven't been getting a lot of sleep. I drove 6 hours starting at 8 p.m. 2 days ago, and then I had to drive all the way to Jacksonville last night, so I haven't been getting to sleep until like 2 a.m. lately. So do apologize for that, but thank God for coffee and caffeine. Thank you, Lord, for that. We're very appreciative because it keeps things moving even when we got no sleep. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into some Binance technical analysis. Then we have a lot of fundamental analysis that we're going to jump into after the halfway mark through the hour. We need to take a look at Binance here. Now, Binance is in a very interesting position, down 60% from its all-time high, around 710. Now, depending on where you want which one of these you want to call all-time high, they are almost perfect double tops. It is down roughly 60% from all-time high. And if you look at Bitcoin, it's down virtually the same. Binance has actually been outperforming a lot of altcoins lately. And in fact, we can look that up. ATH retracement cryptos. I forgot the cryptos. There is a website that shows this. It is from all-time high. Okay, well, I'll bring that up in a second when I can find that. The point is, if I bring that up, you will see that Binance is actually one of the altcoins that's performing better than a lot of its contemporaries. You have Binance down 60%, but you have Cardano down, for example, 80%. You have Ethereum down, as you can see, 65%. Binance is actually maintaining, dropping only as much as Bitcoin is. And that actually speaks to a lot of strength in its fundamentals. That speaks to a lot of strength in its technicals. Its technicals are pretty great. We built a ton of support up here above $200. ever since March of 2021 when we first got up there. It also has a ton of fundamental backing because Binance, the company, is opening up new operations all around the world. They're working on getting in the Philippines right now. We're going to talk about the license that they're going for over there in a little bit. So due in large part to the success of, yes, Binance Smart Chain, but also Binance, the company, Binance's token price is doing very well. Here's the problem. The central question that I think we're going to come down to when we talk about whether or not Binance actually is a security is, where is this value derived? Is this value derived because of a central company like Binance, the company, or is it derived simply from its own underlying intrinsic value devoid from the company? That question, when this does start getting serious with the SEC, I think is going to become central. So it's been doing relatively well compared to many other altcoins. I would say large in part due to the success of Binance, the company, but that could be its Achilles heel. That could be the thing that gets Binance, the company, in a lot of hot water with the SEC. So we're going to have to talk about all of that. But first, let's talk about the technicals. One of the first things you need to know, even before we jump into the technicals, is that fundamentals drive price. Technical analysis is the reading of the price. Technical analysis is ridiculously powerful and very important, but fundamental analysis is upstream of it. The fundamentals can lead to changes in the technicals. So everything we say here on the technicals are going to depend on what happens in the fundamentals, with not only the updating of the Binance Smart Chain, but also with the regulation and the scrutiny that Binance, the company, is undergoing and will be undergoing over the next couple of years that this investigation will probably last. Now, as far as technicals are concerned, there is a downtrending level of resistance right here on Binance. And by the way, guys, even before I get into this, make sure to hit that like button. We got about 200 likes right now, over 1,000 people watching. I know we can get to 500 likes here in the next couple of minutes. Hit that like button. We very much appreciate it. It helps to push this video and our content in the algorithm, and helps to make sure that we keep the lights on around here and keep bringing you high-quality cryptocurrency information. Now, this downtrend right here is very, very important for Binance in the same way that this downtrend on Bitcoin is very, very important. In fact, they're linked by the exact same touches here on early November, and then here in late March. If we look back on Binance, we're looking in, you guessed it, early November, and then late March going into early April. It's pretty much the exact same downtrend, just on a different cryptocurrency's price action chart. In the same way that we believe Bitcoin will go back up and backtest its downtrend, we will probably see the same thing. Not counting anything crazy happening on the fundamentals, happen to Binance over the next couple of months. We could very easily see it trade sideways and move to the upside to these levels. And after all, we did have a massive flush out here back on May the 10th when the entire market dropped like a stone, and we saw the cryptocurrency drop 35% in the span of 48 hours. Now, T-Shroom, I want to ask your opinion. What is your 30,000-foot perspective of the Binance cryptocurrency's price? And also, an important question to throw in here is, how relevant do you think its technicals are right now in light of major fundamental developments that are going on behind the scenes?
Well, I haven't been thinking about too much from the high 30,000-foot view, but I have been comparing just how the market has reacted to the SEC news recently versus Bitcoin. So if you go to my screen, you'll see this is the Binance chart, right? And the yellow line is, just some support that it broke through. And if you go to over to Bitcoin, that same line, Bitcoin has actually bounced off of that. Now, Bitcoin obviously has its own narrative going on, right? And it's moving and grooving and doing its own thing. But Binance has, in its price here, you have definitely seen weakness, right? And it's gained back some of that loss, right? As folks have seen opportunity there in that weakness. Perhaps a lot of folks who kind of see through what we're going to talk about a little bit more with the SEC. They kind of see through the SEC's FUD on Binance, but they are taking a little bit of a gamble there because the SEC ain't nothing to play with. I mean, we've definitely seen them take down some big whales in the past, some big companies, big operators. So that's not a 30,000-foot view. If we had to do that, I could do that, but ultimately, I'd say it's shown strength when Ethereum and Bitcoin have shown weakness in the past. It doesn't do that every time, and I'm just going off my own memory and observation of the charts. But Binance has been strong, and it's definitely and it's earned that number 5 rank on CoinMarketCap.com for a reason. It's a big enterprise, it's a big operation. They do a lot as an exchange and as a coin, but and then that has garnered a lot of respect in the industry, and there is a lot of trading, very high volume, and just a lot of respect. So its price does reflect that. But right now, it's starting to show a little bit of weakness, starting to show like it maybe isn't as stable as a lot of folks thought.
Absolutely. And I think it's important for people to realize that Binance is in kind of a league of its own because it's not just being built. Its value is not just being built off of its own back and off of its own smart chain. It's also being built off of the fact that there is a Binance stablecoin, and also the fact that it has the name Binance ascribed to it. Binance is one of the largest exchanges in the world, nearly 5,000 employees in dozens of countries around the world. It is a very large enterprise, as T-Shroom just said. So as far as the price is concerned, what I'm seeing right now is a very anemic rally. What do I mean by that? I mean that, yes, we had a bounce, but this very much looked like a dead cat bounce. Within the span of a week, it lost half of its value. And then, yes, it rallied 60% in 13 days. But if you look at some of the other cryptos, such as Cardano, it rallied, 80% in 19 days and is recovering decently. Ethereum's doing even worse, by the way, so let's not even talk about that. Bitcoin's trading sideways. Binance is doing okay, but it is pretty much just trading sideways like a lot of these other cryptos are doing. It doesn't look like it's about to go through a big bounce. Now, as far as the 30,000-foot view is concerned, I also want to show you this. Binance is basically in one gigantic descending triangle pattern. You have a downtrend right here, a flat level of resistance right here. You also have a flat level right here, so you could argue it's either a descending triangle pattern or a bull flag. Either way, this level of support right here at $250 is absolutely vital because we triple bottomed at it back here in May of 2021, June of 2021, and then also July of 2021. Binance absolutely needs to hold that level, because if it doesn't, what you're going to see happen is probably something similar to the Cardano waterfall that happened after we dropped below $1. Once we dropped below $1, we bounced back up above it for a little while, and then we collapsed a lot. And that, frankly, needed to happen. Cardano was, in my opinion, too valuable. It is a very powerful technology, but it just wasn't ready to be worth $3. It just wasn't. Binance, I don't know if Binance stable smart chain is worth that or not, but I do have a lot of questions about whether or not we're going to be able to hold 250. And if we don't, where do we go? Well, then we kind of go into a free fall, because that's what's going on with Cardano right now. Cardano doesn't know where to go because there's no support down here. So it's just kind of making it up as it goes. There is a tiny bit of support down here. I mean, we can come up with something at 38 cents, but that's not much. I mean, that is where we bottom, so it's better than nothing. But there's not much down there. Under this rally that we saw just absolutely moonshot in January 2021, there's a giant void. If we look at the VPVR, it's going to show up very clearly here. There ain't nothing down there, guys. There's nothing. In fact, VPVR isn't even showing anything up here. The point is, there is no support in this area. So if we do drop below 250, there's kind of a chasm beneath it. Where do we go? Well, a lot of the cryptos are struggling from the same thing. They're coming back and backtesting previous levels of support, but in early 2021, they moonshot, so they never built any support. So where do they go? Well, they collapse and they drop a lot. There is potential that if there's enough FUD on Binance Smart Chain from the Binance company coming under scrutiny, that it could drop below $250, and then God only knows where the bottom could be. We could go down to 200, we could go down to 100. You kind of have to start coming up with things, because there's not a lot of different technical levels of support down there. You even look at your moving averages, and there's not a whole lot down there. You have the 200 weekly moving average. That's great. It's sitting at 161, but based on what data? There's no precedent. So yeah, it's a moving average, but it has no relevance on the chart as of yet. So where does it go? If we see too much FUD come into Binance, there could be a cascading drop on the project. So we would like to hope that it's going to hold 250, but a decision is going to have to be made probably by the end of August at this rate. And if that decision is made and it is bearish, then we're going to more than likely see a major drop, and that could actually lead to something like Cardano coming in and flipping it, because Cardano's undergoing a lot of great updates, not under scrutiny for being a security at all. No argument against that there that is being made right now, and it's also undergoing through a lot of fundamental updates. You could see Binance drop below Cardano in the next 3 to 6 months as a result of that. T-Shroom, if we did see Binance come under a massive amount of scrutiny for basically launching an unlicensed security back in 2017, what impact do you think that would have on the Binance coin? Would we see a massive drop, or would Binance Smart Chain shrug it off because maybe we're ascribing too much value to Binance, the token, from the company?
Yeah, no, well, the article that we're going to be looking into, it predicts a potential 40% drop. Which would be pretty significant, because this, Binance has been kind of tracking the overall crypto market, so it's down quite a bit. I don't know if it's down 54% as of around this week, 56% from its highs. So it could go down another 40%. That would be significant. That would be catching up to the Cardanos and the Solanos losses. But I think I see this as an opportunity. I think that Binance most certainly will go down from here. We saw that initial sell-off that did get bought up, which is a little bit of a surprise, but I think it will sell off from here quite a bit. I don't know if we'll hit that 40% mark, but as you were showing with the VPVR, there's a lot of room to fall here. There's not a lot of strong hands once you pass a certain point. But the opportunity is that this money's got to go somewhere, right? This is all money that in the heads of the folks who are invested here, that money is earmarked for crypto, right? Or I doubt that they're going to take this out and go put it in the stock market or put it in bonds or oil or something like that, right? This is money that's earmarked for crypto, and a lot of it's going to sit on the sidelines for a while to try to time the bottom of the market here, but I would guess that, as we move closer towards the hard fork of Cardano, that money is probably going to shift over into Cardano. And yeah, it would be very exciting to see Cardano flip Binance at this point. That would be very, very interesting to see.
Absolutely. And it really does. Somebody said this in chat. Lazarus Hand said this in chat. It seems like the SEC is coming out and fighting everybody. They're fighting XRP. They're fighting Binance. It looks like he said Grayscale building up a legal team to fight the SEC on the ETF if they don't approve. SEC fighting everybody. Yeah, the SEC is fighting everybody because, to be honest, there's a new $100 trillion industry being built called the cryptocurrency industry, and the SEC has to fight for power. Because while, yes, we're going to look at the Howey test. In fact, I have it up. You can look at it right here. In doing so, the Supreme Court established 4 criteria to determine whether an investment contract exists. An investment contract is as the following. We're going to look at this in a second. To be honest with you, if we have the right politicians in power, then there should be a separate legal governing body made for cryptocurrencies that is not securities. It should not fall under securities law. Securities law was built for stocks. It was not built for crypto. So yeah, we can try and say, oh, does it fit this or does it not? Well, you know what? Here's the Howey test. Let's just start with this. Then we're going to read some super chats. In doing so, the Supreme Court established 4 criteria to determine whether an investment contract exists. An investment contract is 1, an investment of money, 2, in a common enterprise, 3, with the expectation of profit, 4, to be derived from the efforts of others. You know what the problem with the Howey test that was created in 1934? By the way, the Securities Act of 1933 created the Securities and Exchange Commission, Securities Exchange Act of 1934, and then the Supreme Court case led to the Howey test to determine whether something was a security. And I correct myself, excuse me. The Howey test was from the SEC versus Howey court case in 1946, and that's where the definition comes from. Well, let's run through Apple stock. If you buy Apple stock, you are making an investment of money in what? A common enterprise called Apple. With what? For the expectation of profit, to be derived from the efforts of others, the people working at Apple. Well, here's the problem with that test. Let's say you want to buy a strip mall. You are making an investment of money in a common enterprise with the expectation of profit to be derived from the efforts of others. We don't go applying securities law to whether or not you're buying an apartment building or whether or not you're buying a Walmart or a McDonald's franchise. So why are we trying to apply it to cryptocurrency? We need our own governing body in the same way that there are different laws that govern other sectors, even though they might actually, based on the simple reading of the Howey test, constitute a security. Every time somebody goes and buys a McDonald's franchise or a Chipotle franchise, do they need to register with the SEC as a security? No, of course not. So they're talking about investment contracts here. Cryptocurrency is a different sector. It is an entirely new paradigm, and there needs to be a new paradigm set up. So I'm not saying for a second that XRP or Binance or Cardano or Ethereum or anything should be registered as securities. They shouldn't be. It makes no sense. The question on the table is, what's reality? Is Binance going to be deemed a security? Binance token going to be deemed a security, and Binance, the company, held liable for building an unlicensed security? Is that going to happen to XRP? I don't think it should, because I think we should have our own legal regulatory framework. But should is not reality. What's really going to happen? That's what we're going to be talking after Super Chats. Yeah. You want to read some Super Chats for us?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Super Chats. First one is from Eye of the Beholder. Member for 10 months, and a Jebbai Youngling asked, when I first read that question, I thought you meant also a terrible project that won't make anyone any money.
No, I meant as in coming under massive scrutiny from the SEC because it is a token that was created to fund the launch of a company that is still somewhat controlled by the company, but not totally, because there is an argument that it's decentralized and now has issues about whether or not there is centralized supply issuance. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah, an excellent question. Another one by Elliot Locke, who donated 10 United States dollars.
Thank you.
Asked, I've seen where the Fed might do a total of 150 basis points by November. You think that's possible, and could that shorten the bear market or lengthen it? Will midterms also affect the bear market?
Well, T-Shroom, you are the Fred Fed man.
The Fed, man. So what is it? I think we have.
So what do you think?
I think we have 5 more decisions before the end of the year. So it's definitely in the cards for 150 because that would only be 3 50 basis point hikes. It's definitely in the cards. And that I honestly don't think that they're going to waver from a 50 basis points now that they've set that precedent. Malachi, who's on the team here, he's done some back testing, and once the Fed sets a new basis point hike or reduction, they tend to stick with that. So they don't go 50, 75, 25, 75, because that's not great for the market. The Fed knows that at least if they're going to be rate hiking or reducing, at least do it at a steady rate, unless there's a great reason not to. And historically, they've kept it at a steady rate.
Yeah.
And then also, how will the midterms affect the market? I mean, Joe Biden, I think, is more focused on oil, right? And the Democrats are more focused on, they're leveraging their power more on trying to get oil. Joe Biden, I believe, visited the Saudis or is scheduled to go visit the Saudis to try and get them to pump more oil. I would say overall, I think that they've kind of written off the market for this election cycle, unfortunately. There's also a lot of reasons why their Democrats are going to lose anyway. So they're probably just kind of taking this one on in stride and just focusing on what they can do with oil to try and help people at the pump. But that's kind of our answer. You got anything else on that one, Derek?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. We probably are going to see, what are we at right now? 1.33 federal funds rate. We're probably going to see 5 more rate hikes. So that'd be 2.5%. So we'd be looking at just shy of 4% federal funds rate by the end of the year. That means that the interest rate on homes would probably be sitting at, if you got a good rate, 8 to 9%. I was able to lock in 5 1/8, which that was just a godsend right there.
Cue the applause.
I know, for real, right? That was a funny story. I got approved for 5 1/4, and then she comes back and says, your closing costs are actually cheaper if we lower your interest rates. And I'm like, yes, please, sure. It saves me $50 a month on my mortgage payment. Anyway, the point is, it is going to slow down the economy, and it is going to cause a lot of stagnation, and it is going to hopefully slow down the inflation. The problem is if you slow down the inflation in the wrong way, you can lead to a lot of trouble in the economy. Now, we have a bunch of other super chats coming in, and we're definitely going to read all of those, but we need to jump first into our discussion here on Binance. The big idea, Binance is adapting in real time. Let's take a look at this article over here from Cointelegraph. Binance price risks 40% drop as SEC launches probe against Binance. And this comes into what we were talking about a little while ago about how it's kind of difficult to tell exactly where Binance would drop to. If we look at its price action charts, the only major support argument that I can find for anywhere other than $40, and I don't think it's going that low, would be right here at 160. Well, guess what? That'd be a 48% drop. So that kind of lines up with what the article is saying. This is a great graphic, by the way. I think that's hilarious. And but Cointelegraph definitely has their thumbnails on lock. Their artists do a great job. Binance coin price dropped nearly 7.3% on June 7th to below 275, its lowest level in 3 weeks. Binance was issued as part of an initial coin offering in 2017 that amassed $15 million. For who? For Binance. Now, let's look back at the Howey test. An investment contract is an investment of money in a common enterprise with the expectation of profit to be derived from the efforts of others. It was an investment of money, i.e. the money that was put into the ICO, in a common enterprise called Binance. I mean, its burial is right here. For Binance, it literally says it was amassed for Binance, not for Binance token. The money that was raised in the ICO, a lot of it went to Binance, the company. That is a problem for Binance. With the expectation of profit, people were buying Binance token, Binance coin, because they wanted to make money. To be derived from the efforts of others? Yes, to be derived from the efforts of Binance, the company, and also the miners, or not the miners, but the people that are developing Binance, the cryptocurrency. As far as I can tell, and I am not a securities lawyer, there are people who go to school for years on this, and this is an oversimplification of the Howey test. Looking at it on a surface level, just a plain text reading of what's going on here, it does kind of look like on the surface that when Binance was launched, it was launched as an unlicensed security, as many of the ICOs were. That's not to say that it is an unlicensed security now, though, because one of the big arguments that CZ is making was this, and I quote, I have this article up here somewhere, but I do also have the quote. I might just have to read the quote. He said, Binance Smart Chain, now Binance BNB, was an experimental product that we initially contributed to and helped with the initial funding of, but now it's community-driven, open source, and decentralized, Changpeng Zhao, CEO of Binance, said. Binance, the company, doesn't own Binance, the chain. It is just a contributor in the community and will continue to do so. But the Binance chain is completely running on its own. It is not run by us or anyone else, he added. If that's the case, then that would pretty much mean that Binance was launched, maybe. I can't make this allegation. I'm not a securities lawyer. It hasn't gone through a case yet. But it could potentially be that it was launched as, yes, an unlicensed security, and then because, excuse me, I'm so very sorry, after it launched, it became what you would call a cryptocurrency commodity, like what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin does not have a central authority behind it, and so it is regulated as a commodity because it is well and truly decentralized. The problem is most cryptocurrencies still have some control placed on them by the creators of the cryptocurrency. And what the Securities and Exchange Commission is really interested in is whether or not you actually have control over the supply. So this is a very complex issue here. And some of the big things I want you to take away from this is that we're going to see this potentially evolve into a major court case that could drag out for years, like what happened on XRP. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it is very much possible. Now, T-Shroom, I want to ask your opinion on this. What are the major reasons that Binance is being investigated in the first place? Why do you think the SEC is coming after them? And then what are some of the defenses that CZ, Changping Zhao, has made against this allegation from the SEC?
Absolutely. We don't need to go to my screen. I'll just read it off. The big one is the initial coin offering, the ICO of BNB back in 2017. And the SEC is alleging, or they're investigating at least, that it was a sale of securities and it should have been registered with the regulator, the SEC. But there's also another allegation for the investigation is that Binance, the exchange, has been party to laundering of somewhere in the ballpark of $2.35 billion in illicit funds. So the SEC is also looking into how they have been party to helping people launder money, right, through illicit trade, and then washing that money and it coming out the other side as legitimate money that can then be spent on goods and services out in the economy without any kind of further examination. Well, that's illegal. And so, they're also going to be looking into that one. That one may be the one that they get them on. Who knows? But the main defenses that CZ is kind of putting forward is, first, according to analysis from Chain Analysis, in 2001, 0.15% of transactions made in the crypto space in general were associated with some kind of illicit activity. So this organization, Chainalysis, has done a lot of work to try and figure out how much illicit activity has been going on, and they have been able to document that some of it is. And it's not a 0%. It's 0.15, which is pretty low, especially when you compare it to the research done by the UN on fiat currencies, right? So and the UN estimates that it's somewhere in the ballpark of 2 to 5% of traditional fiat cash, about 800 billion to 2 trillion. So that's the range, 800 billion to 2 trillion in current US dollars was associated with some type of illicit activity. So let's call it $1 trillion problem, right? So that's the comparison. And if you look at percentage, there's no comparison. I mean, 0.15 is way smaller than 2 to 5%, and then also the numbers are a lot higher. So, that's going to be the defense. In my opinion, it's kind of a very broad defense. What do you think about that, Jebb?
I think it is a broad defense, and the other thing that to keep in mind is that just because your sin is lower than somebody else's sin does not mean that it's not sin. Now, let me pause here. I'm not saying that it's Binance's fault that there could potentially be illicit activity going on their platform. When you have a massive platform like Binance does, there are going to be people that use it for nefarious purposes. I think it is a bit of a weak argument to say, yeah, but we have less. I mean, that is good. We like to see that, and that is a known fact in cryptocurrency. We even had the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice come out and say, no, the US dollar is used much more for illicit activity than Bitcoin and crypto is. That's a known fact. That is beyond debate right now. The foremost authority on whether or not that's true, the Department of Justice and the US Bureau of Homeland Security came out and said that a few months ago. So that much we already know. Whether or not Binance is complicit in that would really be the question. That would be the allegation made there, is are they complicit in money laundering? Because if they are, no matter how much it is, it's still a very, very big problem. And whether or not their currency was an unlicensed security when they launched it is the question. And those are very difficult questions to find the answers to. And I just want to be very clear with you. I don't have the answers. But what I am saying is that I understand the allegations. I understand why the SEC would say these things. That's not to say that they're right, but I understand where they're coming from. Again, that's not to say that they're right. That's not to say that it was an unlicensed security. That's not to say that Binance is party to any kind of illicit activity. And that's certainly not to say that securities or commodities law ought to be applied to cryptocurrency. We need a new regulatory framework. Somebody in chat said, what, cryptocurrency being a commodity, it has a fixed supply. That makes no sense. Commodity supplies go up and down. You're right. That's the problem. We're trying to put a round peg into a square hole. It doesn't fit. We need our own regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies. It doesn't fit in securities, property, commodity, any of that. It just doesn't work. So I don't think that it should be looked at as a security. But as far as if you are going to try and look at it as a security, it actually does make a little bit of sense that the SEC would be asking questions. Now, why is all this important? Why does it matter whether or not Binance Smart Chain and Binance Coin are if Binance launched an unlicensed security and if they are complicit in illicit activity? Well, first of all, you need to know whether or not Binance is breaking the law, because obviously we want to do business with people that are integritous. I do believe that they are. I don't think that either of these allegations should be any kind of smudge or stain on Binance. I think Binance is a fine project. I do have deep concerns about the price of the token because its branding is attached to Binance, the company. I have big concerns about that. But as far as the way Binance Smart Chain operates, I don't personally have anything against the way Binance Smart Chain operates. I do have concerns about branding. But why does this matter? It's because a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people see, oh my gosh, the SEC is coming after Binance. What happens if they rule that Binance did have an unlicensed security? Do they get a $250 million fine? What happens? Are they no longer allowed to operate in the United States? This is not something that will be apocalyptic for Binance. It's in a multitude of countries. They're trying to get listed in the Philippines right now. And in multiple, I believe they're working on trying to get into Germany right now and other African nations. It wouldn't be the end of Binance, but it could cause them to drop out of rank number 5. They are ranked number 5 right now, worth $47 billion. Binance USD worth $18 billion in its own right. That brings a ridiculous amount of value to Binance, the company. So that's why it matters. So the questions. T-Shroom, I want to start with this question. This is the title of the stream. Is Binance the next XRP?
Well, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. I think it kind of is. I think it falls pretty squarely into, I mean, what has been the narrative of XRP for the last year or two has been XRP has been kind of the whipping boy for crypto as the SEC's brought it in and kind of examined crypto through the lens of XRP. And, you know, I think BNB is now kind of next. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way that regulation goes, and it's been slow. And you'd think that all this examination and classification and categorization would have happened a while ago, but yeah. Unfortunately, you know, the U.S. government specifically is a very, very slow-moving mammoth. It's not a nimble, you know, little mosquito.
It's only efficient in collecting taxes. That's the only thing it's good at.
Yeah, it's very good at that. Well, it's debatable, but yeah, I mean, so maybe I think it's yet to be determined if it's actually the new XRP, but I think in my mind it is. I think that's the narrative that it could move into. Now there could be some ways for Binance to, and I saw some in the chat. There could be some ways for Binance to curry the favor, if you will, of those in power in the U.S. That seems to be something that's very popular and very doable these days. But you know, as of right now, it's definitely sliding its way into that category of being the whipping boy for crypto here.
Well, to answer this question about whether or not Binance is the new XRP, I actually want to ask you another question, T-Shroom. Do you think, to start off with, this will kind of lay the foundation here, do you think that the SEC is trying to establish...
I think we may be back.
Check.
Is this a new stream?
No, it should be the same stream. All right, I think we're back.
All right, well, if we are back, I was asking T-Shroom, do you think the SEC is trying to carve out territory in the crypto space?
Quick answer, because we're short on time now. Ultimately, I think that there may be a small faction within the SEC, but I think overall the organization has determined that the CFTC, the over-the-commodities exchange, they're going to be the ones to kind of go ahead with crypto for the long term.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because because it kind of looks like they are trying to carve out territory here with what they're going for with XRP. It seems very likely now that XRP is going to win their case and that they're not going to be regulated as a security? Could it be that the SEC, and this is tinfoil hat time, could it be that the SEC is going after Binance to try and carve out territory in the cryptocurrency space because they know that they're not going to be able to get it by making making XRP out to be a security?
It could be. It could be. It just comes down to, what does the SEC stand to gain in the long term? I mean, if there's players in the SEC that are struggling for power, if they want to hold on to it. But I think when I'm looking at the regulatory framework in the United States as a whole, it looks like power is shifting over to the CFTC.
Absolutely. So, guys, let's go ahead and ask this question. How is Binance reacting? I'm going to have to let you guys read this article on your own just because we're going to be short on time here. But the crypto money laundering myth and the machine working overtime to sell a false narrative. Binance posted a blog post right here talking in detail, extensively, about whether or not Binance is a security and whether or not it is guilty of the charges that are being alleged against it. So I encourage you to read this article. Another thing that they're doing is that they are working on bringing Web3 and Binance into the nation of the Philippines. So this is very interesting. They're continuing to expand. It's important to remember that Binance is not just in the United States. It is also in many other nations. So even if the SEC did label Binance, find in a court case, the court found Binance complicit in money laundering and guilty of promoting an unlicensed security, that would not necessarily impact its stance in the other nations. There is much more money in the world than just in the United States, even though the United States makes up a quarter of the world's value, net worth, and gross domestic product. They're also continuing to invest in PancakeSwap. They're hitching their wagon a little bit to PancakeSwap. Definitely very interesting. Again, don't have time to get into this too much, but I would encourage you guys to pause on my screen and read about this article. They are looking to invest more into PancakeSwap. But the other question that we need to ask is, would Binance being delisted be good for cryptocurrencies? T-Shroom, what do you think about that?
I do not think it would right now. I think that we are in a bear market that it's potentially precarious, potentially fragile. Right, so another big crypto project, and by big I mean like 3 or 4 times the size of Luna, for it to go down right now, that would not be good. And I'm sure that the folks who are holding Binance would be made whole in some way, or there would be plenty of time for them to sell out and recoup some of their investment. But no, I do not think it would be good right now. Now, down the road, it could be a different story, especially depending on what comes out of this investigation from the SEC.
I think one of the best things that could happen to Binance is for it to get the name Binance off of it, because Binance Smart Chain is not terrible technology. I don't personally know of a lot of decentralized issues with its governance. Now, I haven't studied Binance that much. I'm not an investor in it, so I could be wrong on that and uninformed. I personally don't have anything against it like I do with Solana, for example, and some other projects. That being said, its name brand being associated with Binance the company is very detrimental, because when Binance the company comes under attack from the SEC, then the cryptocurrency is going to suffer and the investors are going to suffer as well. So it's one of the reasons that I'm trying to be very, very careful with Binance. Now, why does all of this matter, what's going on with Binance? Well, it matters because there's rough waters ahead for Binance. Anybody who is holding Binance is going to need to be watching out, because there is probably going to be a storm coming towards Binance. And, companies of this size are almost always in legal trouble. Whether or not it's true or not is beside the point, but there's almost always a legal battle going on. There's a reason large companies have dedicated legal teams on retainer that literally work for them, period. This is probably going to become something big, but this will likely bring cryptocurrency back into the regulatory spotlight. And we're going to see regulators continuing to look at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. We're going to have them continuing to say, is this a security? Is this a commodity? We're going to continue this conversation on regulation and building regulatory frameworks, which could end up being a very good thing, but Binance and a lot of its value could be a casualty of that. Then you also have the entire other can of worms that we didn't have time to get into today about the Binance stablecoin. We can talk about that later, but that is a question that will probably come into this. So, T-Shroom, what do you think some of the takeaways are for our audience here on what's going on with Binance today?
I am personally in PancakeSwap, so this PancakeSwap is closely affiliated with Binance. They're not under the same legal entity, but the prices tend to correlate. So I'm going to be pausing my accumulation of PancakeSwap, not financial information. It's just what I'm doing, my personal experience, my personal opinion. But after the investigation is over, which could take years, it could potentially be an interesting investment to come back and look at. PancakeSwap and Binance is what I mean by that. And there's a lot of other coins associated and a ton of other projects that work with Binance that are going to be hit by this, which is why I think that Binance is going to do everything they can to shut this down on the front end so that they don't have some long drawn out Johnny Depp style investigation that garners a ton of public opinion in the negative. They want public opinion, but not in the negative. So yeah.
Hopefully they don't do anything in a courtroom that they shouldn't be. Let's go ahead and read some super chats.
Absolutely. So we got one from Rick.
What was that a reference to?
4962 donated $50, and he asked,
"Oh, thank you, Rick.
Is BTC going to be a commodity or a property?"
Well, it ought to be. Here's the problem. It ought to be classified as a cryptocurrency, but that classification doesn't exist right now. So depending on who you ask, it is a commodity or it is a property. For tax purposes, I believe it's regulated as a property. For regulatory purposes, it's normally called a commodity. Now, there's not really a whole lot of regulation at all on Bitcoin itself. There's regulation on how to use Bitcoin, getting on exchanges, but whether or not what Bitcoin is actually doesn't matter, because the Securities and Exchange Commission, the CFTC, the IRS, they have no power over Bitcoin whatsoever, and that's why we love decentralization so much. That's why it is at the core of financial sovereignty. Sovereignty is having the money and the power in your hands. That's why we keep preaching financial sovereignty. Let's see some hashtag FinSolve in chat. I know you guys are behind this. If you believe in financial sovereignty, there's only one way to do it, because somebody's always going to want to come and say, I can do that for you better. If you just give me control over your finances, then I can print $1 trillion and then give you a stimulus check, and then you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about living a lifestyle that you couldn't afford. You don't have to worry about any of that, because I can print money for you, because I'll take your financial sovereignty and then I'll loan back some of it to you, but I'll keep the majority of it so we can go fight wars. That's what we're doing right now. But see, here's the thing. If you're fully decentralized, not only will they not do that, not only will you not want to give that power to them, you literally cannot. They cannot come in and regulate Bitcoin itself. They cannot regulate the way that Bitcoin operates. They can regulate how we use Bitcoin. You can't regulate the laws of physics. Bitcoin is a force of nature. That's why I care so much about decentralization, because whether or not it's a commodity or a property is completely and totally irrelevant to Bitcoin itself. Now, how we use it, of course, those classifications do come into play. But the point is, depending on who you ask, it is actually both.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem, because it should be in its own classification, but it doesn't exist yet. And what's going to end up happening if things don't change is we're going to have a $50 trillion industry with a bad regulatory framework around it. That's why we're always talking so much about regulatory clarity in the space.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Joker's Performance donated $2 and said, why isn't all crypto considered a security then?
Under current definitions, I would actually agree with Michael Saylor on this. Under the current way that securities are defined, if we're applying securities law to crypto, most cryptocurrencies would probably end up being called a security. That being said, they shouldn't be, because securities law should not be applied to cryptocurrency. And I don't think that it's going to continue in that direction. I think eventually you will have your own regulatory framework built around cryptocurrency, because if you try and classify every single cryptocurrency as a security, it's impractical. And maybe based on the Howey test and based on the fact that it's being applied that way, it could be classified as a security. I don't think that will actually happen. I don't think that you're going to see every single cryptocurrency other than Bitcoin actually get regulated as a security. I don't think that's what's going to occur.
Yeah,
but it is going to be a very hard road to getting the regulation and the regulatory frameworks that we deserve and need.
Absolutely. And Rick donated another $20 agreeing with you, Jebb. And, well, I don't know if he agrees with you, but he said, well said.
Well, thank you, Rick. I appreciate that.
All right. And then we've got Jay Cass donated $20 and said, I'm down with about 60%. I'm definitely overinvested, hoping for 100,000 Bitcoin. About 20% of my holdings are meme coins. Should I sell the memes and put into Bitcoin? Don't want to sell at a loss, but not sure if they will even make it.
Well, that I don't have enough information. First of all, I can't give you financial advice because I'm not your financial advisor, but I also don't have enough information about your current situation. I would say you're on the right track to be asking that question. I'd say pray on it and think about it and look in to see what's going to lose more money and what's your risk tolerance, what's your time horizon. Those are two questions I always respond to people with when they ask me a question like this. What's your risk tolerance? Are you willing to play out the risk to reward curve that you need to be invested in meme coins? Because they are high risk, but they are high reward. It's gambling, because there's no intrinsic value there other than a community, and a community can go elsewhere like that. That happens all the time. There's no fundamental development going. There's no fundamental reason to be investing in Dogecoin and Sheeb other than the fact that they're memes and they have a cool community and Elon Musk likes to talk about them. I would much rather invest in technology that has an actual practical use case in a free market rather than a meme that a billionaire likes. You see what I mean? So if I were you, I would sell them probably no matter where they are and put it into Bitcoin and cut my losses. But I'm not you. So that's up to you, and I don't know your situation fully.
Yep. I'll tell you, I haven't sold my Bitcoin. So, that should inform the first part of your question. And then Joker's Performance also asked another question, donating $2. Look at IMF, WEF versus crypto.
WEF. International Monetary Fund and World Economic Forum, I believe is what you're talking about, versus crypto. Yeah, there's a battle going on between centralized finance and decentralized finance right now. And decentralized finance is David versus Goliath. But who won? Just keep that in mind. And why did they win? Because they had the right person on their side. David won because they had God on his side. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, not a religious thing in this aspect, but Bitcoin and cryptocurrency has what on their side? They have principles that help people. Centralized finance doesn't do that. It's self-serving.
Yeah. And then that about wraps it up. But we did have a question, is Binance in China? And I looked into that, and no, it's no longer, I don't think it even operates in China, but it's headquartered in the Cayman Islands. It was originally headquartered in Hong Kong. Now it's headquartered in the Cayman Islands. And there was a cool picture of the Cayman Island flag that had a turtle on it, but we had to move on. So, and then there was another one from Crypto Sec Guy that I thought was pretty cool. Jebb, welcome to having little kids in the house. They bring every germ possible.
Well, see, Malachi's very generous. He likes to share his food with me. You'll give him something and he'll be like, hey, you want this? He won't say you want this. He's getting there, but he's like, all done. You want this? And I'm like, no, buddy, it's okay.
Would you like the goods?
Father,
that I have
would you
to
like
give
my
to you?
Cheeto Puff? No, I'm good, son. You can eat that. And then he's like, you want my germs? Germs? And I'm like, no, it's okay. You keep those. You hold on to those. It'll build your immune system. He's like, but your immune system needs to be built too. I'm like, no, it's okay. I've got 20 years on you. I'm doing fine. I'm okay. He's like, no, seriously, have them. And then I get sick every 2 weeks. That's kind of what's going on right now. But that is just one of the joys of having a son. I was flying him around yesterday. I made up a little song for him. Was flying him through the air. He loves that. He loves riding on my shoulders. It's really cute. Anyway, he's at pre-K right now. We'll be seeing him. He's a smart kid. He is a smart kid. I love him so much. He's freaking great. Anyway, we're going to wrap out the stream. Guys, if you enjoyed today's stream, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media, at CryptoJebb over on Instagram and Twitter, at CryptoJebbOfficial over on TikTok. We do apologize for the technical difficulties today. We're going to be working that out as quickly as possible, so hopefully that will not continue to happen. The good news is this show is coming to you live every single weekday, 5 days a week. So make sure you are tuning in so that you can get the latest Bitcoin and cryptocurrency information so that you are not only informed but also educated about and in this space so that you know how to go and make money therein. Be on the lookout for updates and announcements about Club DeFi because we have some pretty great things coming for you in the future. Can't have any dates, can't tell you what, but I am just saying get hyped because we got some pretty exciting things coming down the pike. Make sure that you tune in every single day. Make sure that you follow us on all of our social medias. And also, T-Shroom, you're on Twitter, aren't you?
I am, and my handle is something you'd never guess. It's T-Shroom.
Whoa, that's crazy. Well, guys, make sure to go follow T-Shroom over on Twitter also. He's got some great takes, great opinions, and he is very good at what he does. If you want to go and hear him rant a little bit more about the Federal Reserve, he might just do that for you over on Twitter.
We shall see.
Before we go, though, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good